Hello everyone, we are here again for another live stream on the Nicola Bulley case. So if you've been here for the last 2 episodes of this little mini-series, this is me going through the UK College of Policing's independent review on Lancashire Constabulary's handling of the Nicola Bulley case. So in episode 1, I did a summary of the case, which took a little bit of time, and then I started reading chapter 1. So we're partway through chapter 1, and we're going to finish that chapter today. Yesterday, I skipped ahead and did chapter 5 because that was all about Peter Faulding, because I had so many comments asking me about how I felt about Peter. And yeah, he's got quite a lot of media attention. I've noticed that there's some YouTube videos that have got pretty high views who are supporting Peter, whereas the views on these videos where I'm not supporting Peter are very low. So that tells you something. That tells you something. But I'd rather put the truth out there than anything else. But anyway, happy Thanksgiving to all of those in the US. And Canada celebrates Thanksgiving the second Monday of October. I'll try and remember that for next year, but don't be mad if I don't remember, because I don't remember national holidays in my country very often either. But hello everyone, thanks for joining me. Let's see who's in the house. So we got Mel, we got Holly, 3 of Cats, Kai Mojo, Jean, CW, Rue, Linda, Angela, Tweety Lynn, Dawn, Mike, and oh, that's it. Mike, did Peter review his footage and spot Nicola? Apparently so. That's the story he's saying. But that area where he believes there was a human body was checked 3 times by divers. And his footage, his own footage, CGI's footage, was reviewed by 2 scientists as part of this review. And they all concluded 3 divers who went down there to the bottom of the river and found nothing but tree branches. And the 2 independent scientists from 2 different, one was a government scientist, one was a professor from a university, and neither of those felt that the sonar readings signified a human body. So everything Peter is saying in the media is nonsense. Nonsense. No turkeys in my world, though. Well, there are turkeys in my world. There are turkeys in my world. I just prefer to see them running around alive than on a plate. Anyway, let's get into the chapter. So, as I said, we're partway through this chapter. So, in episode 1, it was all about the 27th, so the day that Nicola went missing. So we're moving on now to the investigation. So January 28th, Saturday onwards. Okay, so I'm going to start reading here. This is page 17 for anybody who's following along with the actual report. And you can get the actual report from the College of Policing. The link to the investigation page is in the description box. Okay, so early investigation. On Saturday 28th at 8 o'clock, the on-call senior investigative officer and experienced detective superintendent formed the view that this was an unusual case. They carefully assessed the risk and allocated resources appropriately, including an experienced detective inspector as the investigating officer. Responsibility for the investigation lay with this senior investigative officer, who confirmed and agreed the high-risk categorization. So they declared her high risk on the 27th, the day she went missing, because of what her family said about her having an alcohol issue and so on. Okay. Its Lancashire Constabulary's missing from home policy to ensure that a force major investigation team, so FMIT, there's so many of these acronyms in this report, I don't like them. So Force Major Investigation Team, that's FMIT, review is conducted of any high-risk missing from home investigation within 24 hours and daily thereafter, with the available FMIT resources allocated to an emerging firearms incident. Okay, I didn't know that there was a firearms incident at that time. The SIO took responsibility to review the investigative response. Prioritised inquiries included securing detailed evidential accounts from key witnesses who had already been identified. So obviously that would have been the family and it would have been those on scene at the time. The review of telephones and digital examination of Nicola's phone, securing CCTV footage from Nicola's home address, and then conducting financial inquiries. So that was mainly focusing around the family and Nicola herself. And then in the days following and preempting it, because I just remember this from the investigation, they managed to identify the witnesses who'd seen Nicola on the morning. The SIO also deployed 2 detectives to Mr. Ansell, so that's her partner Paul, to secure a detailed account reflecting Nicola's family life and background. So all of this was happening on the 28th, remember. The SIO attended the riverbank location and met with the search lead and the, can't remember what some of these acronyms are, LFRS, National Interagency Liaison Officer, to assess the scene and prioritise actions. The search lead held the view that to place a scene cordon at the location was of no forensic value. So this is the people saying that there was no cordon and this was a crime scene and lots of evidence was lost. And I said, there's no point. In a situation of that nature, at that time, there wasn't any point cordoning anything off because there was nothing there. But let's see what they say. And this is my first reading of this. I haven't read this to preempt what they might have been feeling. Okay, and this was agreed and recorded by the SIO. From the SIO's own visual assessment of the scene and known circumstances, their conclusion was that the working hypothesis being followed was correct, that she was in the river. So that was their working hypothesis from day one, but they had to exclude all other possibilities to continue with that hypothesis, and that's what they went on to do. Okay. Their view was that Nicola had entered the river and that there was no suspected third-party involvement. But obviously they had to work to rule that out, which they attempted to do. A number of factors supported the hypothesis at this time that Nicola had entered the water. Nicola's last known position, the location of the dog harness, the position and activity of Nicola's phone, the behavior of Nicola's dog, thank you, because every other effer who covered this case, whether it's mainstream media, whether it was the family doing interviews or friends doing interviews, or whether it was social media, every other effer absolutely did not consider Willow's behavior. Except me. I think I was the only one who was advocating for Willow. I might be wrong. There might have been someone else who was talking about canine behaviour and how canines think and feel. Thank you. Thank you. That was one of the things that the police picked up on, at least. Nicola's medical history, the low possibility of an exit by any land routes. The hypothesis was also supported by the river conditions, as reported by the diver who was responsible for diving on Friday, 27th of January. The water temperature at the time was estimated to be in the region of 3.6 degrees C. So that's just over freezing. It was the end of January. It was warmer in January than it had been in December. December was freezing. When I was recording Cold Case Christmas episodes last year, it was cold. And if I say it's cold, right? It was cold last December. January did warm up, but there was still like frost on the ground in the mornings, and there's some days when it was freezing or below. But the water temperature was just above freezing, which is enough to cause cold water shock for anybody entering the water. The depth of water at the suspected point of entry was 4.6 meters. People saying it was shallow and you could paddle in it. There's a sign on the tree just behind the bench saying deep and dangerous water, like beware, that have been put up by St. Michael's Angling Association, one of the only other organisations who spoke out, apart from me and the police, saying Nicola's in the river was the St. Michael's Angling Association, the fishermen who fish that area. And it was only after, when the case was kind of ongoing, I went to a wedding, my niece's wedding, and I was chatting to my uncle, and he used to go fishing in his younger years at St. Michael's. And he said that river is dangerous. That river is deceptive. It's dangerous. The River Wyre, it's well known. So the anglers who were fishing there, they're the ones who were responsible for the putting up the signs. And why there's no fence at that area near the bench, I've no idea, because a few feet to the right of the bench, as you're looking at the river, to the right, there's a stile and there's a fence, and the fence goes all the way along past the bridge, and then there's no fence beyond the bridge. But the river is much calmer there. It's weird. I mentioned this last night. And it is shallower as you get out, going out of St. Michael's. It's shallower and the banks aren't so high. But at that bench, I don't know why there's no fence. Honestly, I really don't know why there's no fence. When there's one on the other side of the stile, literally a few feet away, it's all fenced off. Weird. Okay, so 4.6 meters. So what's that in feet? About 15 feet, is it? Hold on. I'm going to ask Google. 6 meters in feet. 15 feet. Yeah. Okay. All right. The river current was calculated at 3.8 meters per second. Sufficient to have carried Nicola to and potentially over the weir a short distance downstream. Oh, it's a slow flowing river. Oh, it's shallow. You could go and paddle in it. Oh, look at this. Oh, it's like a little creek. It's a little stream. It's nothing. There's no danger. She can't be in the river. She can't be in the river because she'd have just got out. All right, then, you go and do it. You go and fall in onto those rocks and try to get out. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Film it while you're doing it. Have someone who can help you. I very nearly went to do it. Very nearly. And no one would agree to go with me. I can't imagine why no one wanted me to do it. Oh, she couldn't get over the weir. Oh, weirs, they trap things. She can't get over the weir. Piss off. Okay. Downstream from the weir, the river is subject to tidal influence, increasing the likelihood of movement and unpredictability. On that day, there was 0.46 meters of water above the level of the weir. So it's not, as people were saying, how shallow the river is. Oh, I was banging my head. This is bringing up all my frustrations from February. This is giving me anxiety, right? It's not how shallow the river is. It's the depth of the water at the weir, the water going over the weir. That's where the measuring station is. I filmed all the way around the weir. I filmed on either side of the weir. I filmed directly above the weir. I'm going to show you some footage. I might as well do it now. Just how shallow this weir is. And what I mean by shallow is that it's only a small weir. It's not like some weirs that are huge. And people were thinking when we were talking about weirs that we were like talking about a dam. It's like, no, it's not stopping the water like a dam. It's not a dam. The water goes over the weir. It's just it's a water control. It's a defense mechanism that are put in rivers, but the water still flows over it, and it's a very small weir. It's just to control the tidal forces in the water. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to show you the weir from right next to the weir. Hold on. Where are we here? Here we go. Okay. I don't need the sound on, just showing you the weir. Now, this was the 6th of February. And the water was about, it may a bit higher than the end of January. I can't remember. I think it was around the same. Right, that's directly above the weir. Right, I'm stood on the bank directly above the weir. So if I just play this a little. So downstream, so that's to the right of the screen. It's the river's tidal at that point. And there are areas where it's very rocky. And they're obviously shallow areas, and then there's these really deep areas because of the erosion and things like that over the years. But the measuring station is the weir. So 0.46 meters is not the depth of the river. It's the water at the weir. Dear God. And there's it would be easy for a body to get over the weir. Now, there were people who were saying that they were familiar with the weir at St. Michael's, and in previous years, sheep had got into the river and were dead and got stuck at the weir. But you've got to look at the body composition of a sheep versus the body composition of a human. Humans are like all body. Sheep are all body with little legs. Whereas humans, the weight is distributed more evenly. Like you've got long limbs, a relatively short and light torso compared to a sheep. So a body going over that weir, no problem whatsoever. So, and obviously she did go over the weir because she was found a mile away. All right. Records show that high tide was at 15:30, so 3:30, and was 9.12 meters, with an expert advising that high tide is likely to present a body floating on the water and low tide likely to deposit a floating body. Okay. So okay. The investigating officer also attended the scene on Sunday, the 29th of January. And and liaised with the search lead and search teams. The investigating officer's attendants confirmed their view that third-party intervention or assault was highly unlikely. The wet, muddy ground would have experienced disturbance to support such movement, and this was entirely absent. I don't necessarily comply with that. There are ways to get someone without creating a disturbance in the ground. So I don't necessarily agree with that. But the issue was getting someone out, given that there's only two ways out, really, through Rowan Water and through where the farm is. And at the farm, you can go down the lane at the farm, but at the end of that lane, there's CCTV. Coming out onto Blackpool Road, there's no CCTV. If you go left, if you go right, there's CCTV just over the bridge at the Grapes pub. And also Rowan Water CCTV. So there was no accuracy to CCTV cameras being turned off intentionally or anything like that. So anyway, the view was also supported by the prevalence of dog walkers in the area and a busy main road nearby with no suspicious sightings. The assessment was that the searches being conducted were covering a comprehensive area. The investigating officer felt that there was no reason to secure the attendance of a crime scene manager, as there was no evidence to suggest that criminal activity had occurred. The management of the scene is considered later in this report. So people were saying that, well, you're missing, because they didn't secure a crime scene, they didn't cordon the area off. Well, what area? What area? Bench? Well, how much DNA, touch DNA and fingerprints do you think is on that bench? I mean, people sit on the bench. So what would have been the point in cordoning off the bench area where her phone was found? Because there been untold DNA profiles and fingerprints on that bench. To you guys who believe that you know more than, I don't know, you know more than me, you watch too much CSI. To support the investigation, media releases were prepared by Lancashire Constabulary's media team. The on-call press officer that weekend reflected that it was difficult to secure the relevant information and a photograph to circulate. What, they didn't know she had a Facebook? Okay. Okay. All right. That's stupid. Suggestions were made by the media team to conduct a media briefing and to communicate an appeal, but this option was not taken forward at that time. The local community became engaged in a search response to find Nicola, but felt that they were hindered through the lack of information. It was suggested to the review that circulation of CCTV imagery from that morning would have assisted their efforts. Okay. One of Nicola's family friends, who became the community spokesperson, told the review that this was challenging for the community, who were driven by a strong desire to help the police search effort. Lancashire Constabulary had set up a briefing document for public tasking and to record responses. However, this family friend felt that there had been little police coordination of the community's search efforts and believed this to be a missed opportunity. Yeah, I think it probably was, yeah. The family friend set up a hub to mobilise community-led searches, but this received limited support or direction from the police. And that's a shame. That's a shame. Conclusions to this section. The managerial oversight and command of the early investigation was at high level for this type of investigation. The attendance at the scene by the SIO and investigating officer demonstrated senior assessment and scrutiny of the resourcing and working hypothesis. The minor deviation from the Lancashire Constabulary work from home policy of an FMIT review is assessed as having no impact on the case. Greater consideration could have been provided to harness the community as a resource in these early search efforts to benefit from local knowledge and to focus joint efforts. I totally agree. And for the media person to say that it was difficult to secure a photograph of Nicola, that media person, quite frankly, needs to be finding another job, because it wasn't difficult to find Nicola's Facebook. And why did they not just ask her family, do they have a recent photograph of her? That's nonsense. That's utter, complete nonsense. That person needs to be looking for another job if they've not got one already. Okay, scene management and control. All right, the bend of the river near to the bench was the most likely point of entry by Nicola, and it was considered the only safe entry point for the dive team from the outset. So there's the bench. Okay, I'll show you. I think you probably all know the scene by now, really, but okay, so you've got the bench. You've got the bench. You've got the embankment. So the bench is sitting on top of the flood defense. You've got about, I don't know, 20, 25 feet. I don't know. I didn't measure it. And then you've got the actual physical bank of the river. And then this is a bend right here. So you can see that's an artificial bank. But yeah, it's that bend. Okay. From the outset and at subsequent visits by police and support services, a decision was made not to secure the bench and vicinity area with a police cordon. At first, attendance by LFRS, I don't know what that is. Oh, Lancashire Fire and Rescue Service, I think. It was not known whether this was a body rescue or a body recovery, and an effort to preserve life will always be prioritised emergency service response. Based on the facts known at the time, the attending search lead deemed it unnecessary to demarcate and preserve a crime scene. The search lead recorded that, had there been any indication of a crime, the area around the bench would have been cordoned. Prior to police attendance, Nicola's person items had been retrieved and handled by several witnesses and her partner. The area around the bench had experienced footfall of approximately 20 people. The opportunity for any forensic recovery was considered by both the search lead, the on-call detective superintendent, and the investigating officer. With no criminal activity suspected, forensic examination was deemed to be of no value. Totally. Because any DNA, right? What abductor would leave her phone? I mean, they might do, but okay. Well, if an abductor had touched the phone or an abductor had touched the bench, how can you differentiate their DNA profile or their fingerprints from the multitude of others that would have particularly have touched the bench, but would also have touched the items? It's no value at all, as I said at the time. But no, doesn't feed into these conspiracy theories, does it? Okay. Crime scene examiner was not requested to support any consideration for scene preservation and a more thorough forensic examination. The notion of a scene and cordoned area was later discussed by the review team and the MPCC lead for strategic underwater search and the principal dive contractors. Their view was that while the investigation continued and the outcome was not known, a cordon would have provided greater control and protection to the area. Well, keeping people aware might have helped, but it wasn't like there was like a massive, big influx of people above and beyond people who were searching. It was only in the weeks following that there would have been that there was the intrusion once idiots from TikTok and stuff started to go there breaking into people's houses and trampling all over people's property, that it became an issue for the police to keep people aware. At this early stage, remember, we're only on 29th of January. At that early stage, there wasn't like people, trying to do their own investigations by going to people's properties, breaking into caravans, breaking into houses. People weren't doing that then. So it wouldn't have been thought necessary. They wouldn't have, as far as they were concerned, they were searching for a missing person who was likely deceased. Okay. While the working hypothesis was that a fall into the river had occurred, the first responders and search lead could not possibly have ruled out a third-party intervention in criminal activity. At that early stage, the witness and CCTV inquiries that came to support the working hypothesis were yet to be undertaken, and their outcomes were yet to be established. If the working hypothesis had later turned out to be correct, later opportunities to recover the scene and conduct forensic examinations would have been lost entirely. Whilst that is true, I can entirely understand, and I personally agree with the way that they handled the scene in those early days, because I've seen the scene. There's nothing to see. What benefit would there have been in cordoning off the bench? I mean, scene control, yes, but DNA on that bench, fingerprints on that bench, and on the ground. If there was, I don't know, fibers on the ground, how would you possibly know where those fibers came from when that's a very frequent walking route for dog walkers? If there was fibers on the ground or footprints, you'd absolutely no way of saying this is a potential abductor. Could be anybody who walked that ground in the last weeks, and I really do mean weeks. All right. But if the initial hypothesis had been wrong and Nicola had been abducted, then I don't think an abductor would have been caught by an early securing of a crime scene. I don't think it would have helped, personally. Anyway. Conclusions of this section. At incidents where it's unclear whether a crime had been committed, all responders should consider the possible outcome of criminal activity. Decisions whether golden hour measures are required, including the preservation of a crime scene, will need careful consideration. Such decisions will need an assessment of the certainty of support for a particular hypothesis. It's often the case that at the early stages of an investigation, hypotheses can change, and decision-making must take account of this possibility. Once a decision is made not to seek or recover evidence, the opportunity is lost forever. The early investigation used a working hypothesis that Nicola had fallen into the river. From the information known at the time, this review considers the working hypothesis to be correct. However, the scene should have been cordoned off and subject to forensic examination at an early stage. I really don't agree with that. I really don't believe that would have helped. Even if it had been an abduction, I really don't believe it would have helped. There would have been no way to collect forensic evidence from that scene that would have held up in court, quite frankly. That's my opinion, though. In doing so, additional benefits would have been realised, such as controlling who entered the scene and helping the search efforts. It would have, I do agree with that, if there were a lot of people there in those first few days creating an issue for the searchers. But when I was there on the 6th, now bear in mind that's a week later than what they're talking here, the only people who were there, there was some media, not an excessive amount, like walking around, and there was volunteer searchers in little groups, and it wasn't like there was a big there was certainly nothing that would have interfered with the investigation in any way. Okay. New senior investigating officer. The SIO played a pivotal role in the major investigation, with the role combining that of lead investigator and manager. The MPCC's Major Crime Investigation Manual 2021 states that the primary role of the SIO is team leader, providing investigative focus, coordinating and motivating the team. They are accountable for every facet of the inquiry and should manage a range of internal and external resources. To maximise effect. They should be able to develop investigative strategies based on the unique circumstances of each case, making effective use of the national decision model, whatever that is. They should continually assess and modify their strategies as new material becomes available. SIOs should also ensure that information management systems are established to enable the investigation to manage the volume and variety of information that will flow into and out of the investigation. An effective SIO will have the key skills to assimilate, assess, and prioritize information so that main lines of inquiry are formulated, using the support of other key roles within the investigation. The SIO needed to demonstrate a high level of competency. The Major Crime Investigation Manual 2021 also states that to deliver the investigative and management challenges of a homicide or major crime investigation, SIOs should be accredited and registered as a PIP3 SIO, don't know what that is, or as a minimum progressing to accreditation. Some types of major crime can be unusual or rare, and even the most experienced SIO will not have first-hand experience of every type of case. SIOs should know where to go to access specialist support and advice. They will increase their knowledge and improve their approach to all investigations. Yeah, everybody can learn something. Okay. An SIO must successfully complete the National Senior Investigating Officer Development Programme, where their competence is assessed against relevant professional standards for the role. Once completed, they are qualified with an accreditation known as Professional Investigations Programme Level 3. Okay, that's what PIP3 means. With their details entered onto a national register of accredited SIOs. A PIP3 can progress to become a PIP4, with the completion of a College of Policing training course. This is written by the College of Policing, so they're plugging the training courses here. This provides them with further skills to become a strategic investigator. They are able to provide independent advice, support, and review of high-profile, complex, serious, and organised major crime investigations. Okay. Okay. So we're now on Monday, 30th of January. A new SIO detective superintendent was appointed and assumed full responsibility of the investigation. This SIO was both PIP3 and PIP4 qualified and was a highly experienced SIO with 29 years of service and is highly regarded within Lancashire Constabulary. The SIO recorded their strategic decision-making and rationale in policy and decision logs. The Major Crime Investigation Manual 2021 states that the primary objective of a policy file or decision log is to record investigative direction, instruction, parameters, and priorities for major crime investigations. The policy file should accurately reflect the strategic and tactical decision-making of the SIO. It provides a transparent, accountable, and auditable record of the decisions made during the course of an investigation. See, there's a lot goes on behind the scenes. It is. It's great advertising, for the College of Policing. It is. In the decision log for 30th of January, the SIO recorded that the investigation into Nicola's disappearance was reported at the time and since the time it had been run as a missing from home, and that they would oversee a review of the investigation to ensure that there are an appropriate resources to establish whether there is any third-party involvement in her disappearance and to assist in locating her due to the unusual circumstances surrounding her disappearance. I don't think there was anything really unusual about it. Is it just me? Is it just me alone in the world who thinks this was a really simple case? She's in the river. Willow was there. She's in the river. Oh, man. I know they had to exclude all other possibilities. And that was my purpose of going there on the 6th, was to just really go around the entire place and look for ways that I could refute that. Ways that I could really refute. Is there a way out? Is there a way she could have been abducted with no one seeing her? And no, there isn't. There really isn't. There really isn't. There really isn't. There really isn't. No, you can't kayak a kidnapped victim down that river, as some people suggested. Man. Okay. On the 30th of January, the new SIO also recorded a separate policy decision requesting an ethnic detective inspector to review the investigation to date. So remember, this is the Monday. Nicola went missing on the Friday morning, in line with Lancashire Constabulary policy. This was to ensure that all priority lines of inquiry were being progressed and that there was no sign of any third-party involvement. An ethnic detective inspector was allocated and the task and reviewed the investigation. It was agreed that the hypothesis provided by the previous detective inspector was correct and that all reasonable prioritized lines of inquiry were being progressed. Okay. On the 31st of January, the SIO recorded that they had considered a number of hypotheses, including third-party intervention. However, based on the information known at the time, their working hypothesis was that Nicola had entered the river as a result of an accident or medical episode and had been unable to remove herself from the water. The SIO also documented that they were keeping an open mind regarding all of these hypotheses and would review their decisions regularly. It is clear at this time that third-party involvement was still under consideration. I know, CW. I know. I stopped. I used to be snarky in my comments, but I stopped interacting with people anywhere else. Like, I just blocked a bunch of people on Twitter. I couldn't be bothered. I just couldn't be bothered. I exercise my right just to block people. Under the new SIO's direction, extensive inquiries were undertaken in the first days. This enabled officers to establish a timeline of events based on CCTV sightings and the accounts of key witnesses in the area at the time. Nicola's movements were largely accounted for by witnesses and were corroborated by CCTV, telephone examinations, and general packet radio service, GPRS, phone data analysis. So that's not going to be what people want to hear. Oh, they didn't even check her phone. Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. They did, though. A dedicated team of more than 40 detectives was assigned to the investigation, along with specialist uniform resources to assist the search. Nicola's movements and the evidence that supported this clearly demonstrated the sequence of events. Oh, but Penny did it. Penny kidnapped her, kept her in a caravan, and then got her out in the dead of night. Yeah, that really happened. That really happened. Penny's sheep did it. Penny's sheep killed her by accident, and Penny had to cover it up. Okay, all right. Kill a sheep on the loose in St. Michael's on Wyre. All right. Ultimately, in excess of 200 police officers and staff were involved in this investigation. Through a tight sequencing of events based on the information from these inquiries, a window of opportunity for harm was pinpointed between 9:10, when she was last seen by a dog walker, and 9:33, when her phone was found by a different dog walker. Oh, yeah, but it was them. the 9:10 dog walker and the 9:33 dog walker knew each other. Therefore, they did it. They did it. All right, let's see Appendix C. What page are we on? 24. Okay, timeline of events. 8:26, Nicola is seen to leave her home address with her 2 children in her car, except it wasn't Nicola, it was Emma. And the 2 girls were told not to speak to her so that they wouldn't know that the woman driving wasn't their mother. Okay, then. All right, that happened. Footage from video doorbell, but that doorbell footage wasn't from that day because of the bin, the wheelie bin. There was a gap where the wheelie bin should have been. Do you not think there was a time stamp on the video? Oh, but some really clever person could go in and alter the timestamp on the video. 8:35, phone analysis located Nicola's phone at her children's school. Oh, yeah, but Emma took Nicola's phone and placed it on the bench. Okay, this is the best well-crafted, best thought-out crime in the world. All right, criminal masterminds there in Inskip. 8:35 to 8:40, person A sees Nicola outside her children's school walking her dog, Willow. Oh, yeah, but person A was in on it. A remained at the school for another 10 to 15 minutes before making their way to the dog field. Okay. All right. So person A followed Nicola there and knocked her over the head and threw her in the river. 8:40, children start their school day at St. Michael's on Wyre. God, they start at 8:40. No way. They're going to start 9 o'clock here. All right. Police dashcam footage shows Nicola's car in the car park at this time. Okay. All right. Nicola's car is there at the school. That's where they park the car there because no parking like on the road on Blackpool Road. You can't park on the bridge. So that's the closest place there really is to park, I guess. You could park in the village probably. All right. 8:42. All right. So, all right. Person B, 8:45 approximately. Person B speaks to Nicola in the car park after dropping their children off at school. Nicola stands at her car with the boot open, but it was really Emma and person B's in on it as well. All right. With Willow in the boot, in the trunk. The 2 have a brief conversation before person B returns to their own car. All right. So, okay. Person B's got to be in on it. Person C, 8:42. Person C sees Nicola walking towards them down Garstang Road. Oh, is it Garstang Road? Is it Blackpool Road? What is it called? It's actually called Blackpool Road. Until I don't even want to go there because the police got the name of the road wrong and intentionally threw everybody off so that anybody, once they appeal for dashcam footage, anybody with dashcam footage from Blackpool Road would have thought that it was the wrong road. It's like it's one fucking road, man. All right, so 8:42. Person C sees Nicola walking towards them down Garstang Road with Willow. Behind Nicola was a male dressed as a workman. It was him. He did it. Shall we do the walk? Let's do the walk. It's 2.5 minutes. It's 2.5 minutes from the school to the beginning of... Why will that not go? Okay, to find it. March 26th. Should line all these videos up beforehand, but no. Of course I don't do that. All right, gate test. Timing Nicola Bulley's from Vinyl Walk. All right, okay. So we're going to play the first 2.5 minutes of this video. Oh, it's in a live stream. Oh, this is annoying. I should get the raw footage, but it's on my other computer. Okay. Time shotting on this phone. The screenshotting, Michelle. And I'm also going to be doing an experiment with kisses. So stay tuned. I'm here at the school. I'm obviously not filming the school for obvious reasons, but I'm going to turn the camera around and we're going to walk down the road and we're going to retrace their steps. Wait. Wait. Alright, so this is CHORLEY, and then this is Blackpool Road up until the Iron Bridge, which is literally just there. Sorry that the camera's shaking, you are going to get a little bit dizzy because I've got Cassie, I've got my walking pole to help me with the banks, and I'm going to use a normal walking pace rather than walking like a snail that I normally do when I film, so that you get a smoother ride. So there's two properties here that Nicola would have passed, and then we've got the church right here. So Nicola wasn't caught on CCTV on this stretch, literally because two properties on a church didn't have CCTV. Cassie doesn't like being on small lead. But in a second, she will enjoy. Right, win for someone who's not doing. So then, and this is not caught on. You're doing a lot of videos on Nicola Bulley, yeah, because I'm counteracting. And so this, guys, is why Nicola was not caught on CCTV, because there isn't any. So this is the bridge. Now I'm filming this in the afternoon. It's currently about, I don't know, 20 past 1. Nicola was here after she dropped her kids off. All right, so there you can see the path. That's the river path. There's the river. That's the river path. So there's two properties on the right-hand side. There's nothing on the left-hand side apart from a field. There's two properties. Even if they had ring doorbells, they're too far away from the road to probably detect any movement. And the church, I was told after this video that the church does have CCTV, but it doesn't have CCTV, like probably at the entrance, like to protect God's house, but there's no CCTV on the roadside, if that makes sense. So it's 2.5 minutes. I timed it, just a normal kind of slow to regular walking pace. So that's the school to the beginning of the path. All right. Okay. Back to this. All right. So person C sees Nicola walking towards them down Garstang Road with Willow. Behind Nicola was a male dressed as a workman. Person C lets both pass. The male is then seen to walk towards a white path. Can't even speak. The male is then seen to walk towards a white van parked on the tarmac. Nicola continues walking towards the direction that person C has come from. There are no conversations between the two, and they go their separate ways. Okay. All right. CCTV footage of the river path possibly shows Nicola walking from the direction of the Iron Bridge and Garstang Road towards the area containing the gate and bench, confirmed by phone data analysis. So this must be, that must be CCTV at the farm. So 8:42, she's on Garstang Road. Remember, it's only 2.5 minutes from the school to the beginning of the river path, and then you probably got another minute and a half maybe to the farm, to Penny's, and then maybe another couple of minutes to the bench. It's a really short route. It's really short. Okay. So there is CCTV on the river path. It must be to do with the farm. possibly shows Nicola walking from the direction of the Iron Bridge and Garstang Road towards the area containing the gate and bench. Also confirmed by phone data analysis. Okay. So 2 sources of Nicola being there. 8:46 and 30 seconds. Phone data analysis locates Nicola at the area containing the gate and bench. Okay. 8:47. While walking back towards the gate along the riverbank, person D, who knows Nicola, sees Nicola just having entered the field, turning left and taking the route that person D has taken. Willow and person D's dog run over to each other and person D calls their dog back. At this time, person D sees Nicola with her phone out in front of her because she's using it. Okay. So the team's call starts at 9. Okay. Phone data analysis locates Nicola walking across the lower field towards the upper field. Okay. We're going to see where that is. All right. All right, so we're going to walk a river path. Okay, and we're going to walk towards the bench. Oh, there's Penny's sheep. There's Penny's sheep. Okay, those sheep look mean. And it's entirely possible that a sheep could have attacked Nicola. Okay, all right. All right, so going through the bench, going to the bench. There's the bench. All right, so I faff about the bench a lot there. All right, so now we're going to walk to the lower field. So this is the lower field here. All right. See the lower field there. Some idiot broke into that building thinking Nicola was being held hostage. Can you believe it? Okay, Michelle, what are you doing with your camera? Oh, faffing. Okay, Michelle, stop it. That's making me feel sick. So I'm walking across the lower field. Behind that hedgerow. Oh, Michelle, you bad camera. Okay, so this is Rowan Water right here, where people think she was kidnapped through that lock gate there. Someone at Rowan Water did it. So this is the upper field. That hedgerow there demarcates the upper and lower field. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. 8:48 CCTV from allotment lane shows person E walking towards the river path from allotment lane. So the allotment lane runs up from Garstang Road, the main road, past the farm onto the river path. It's just a short route. Okay. Person E walks through the gate near to the neighbour's house, person F, and halfway along the path towards the gate and bench. Person E doesn't reach the gate and turns back, walking towards the iron footbridge. Person E notes a dog in that area on the grass. Person E goes on the fields and doesn't notice anyone else. Okay. So no suspicious persons hanging around. Okay. Okay. You've been knocked on your arse by a sheep. Oh no. They do get mean. They do honestly do get mean. If they've got lambs, they get mean. Goats are meaner though. You've got to admit goats are meaner. All right. My mum's scared of cows and cows know it. She's scared of them because they chase her. They chase her because she knows she's scared. All right. 8:52. Person D leaves the lower field via the gate and walks along the river path towards allotment lane. 8:53. Nicola's employer receives an email from Nicola regarding a mortgage client. So Nicola's alive and well, unless it's Emma, who's got Nicola's phone, who is writing emails to Nicola's boss, pretending to be her. All right. 8:54. CCTV footage shows person D on allotment lane returning from their dog walk. Prior to this point, while reaching the gate at the end of allotment lane, person D sees person E walking a dog on a lead. So all these people are obviously all involved. All involved. All right. 8:55, person A begins their walk along Gorstang Road. So person A is the person that Nicola saw at the school. Okay. From the school over the Iron Footbridge and turns right immediately to follow the Riverside footpath. Okay, so it's definitely that person stalking Nicola now. This person's stalking Nicola. 8:55 and 15 seconds, phone data analysis locates Nicola walking in the upper field. 8:59, Nicola sends a message to person G via Messenger regarding arrangements for their children at the weekend. Where's person F? We've not got person F. Oh, yeah, person F. Yeah, oh, the person F's the neighbour's house. All right. Okay. Okay, so regarding arrangements for the children. So it's not like she's sounding particularly suicidal at this point. 8:59 and 33 seconds. Phone data analysis shows Nicola around Rowan Water. Well, it's obviously somebody from Rowan Water that did it. So Rowan Water is this area behind here. So it's just a road with like cabins on it. Very expensive cabins. All right. There's like a pond behind that fence. There's like a pond. And then there's like these cabins, big cabins. 200 grand. There was one for sale. 200 grand. It was nice, I got to say. It was like a proper house, but it was a cabin. Okay, right. So if you go up this little hill here, right, that's the entrance to Rowan Water right there. So it's private. You can't get through unless you have a key, and you only get a key if you're a resident of Rowan Water. But of course, an abductor who had a key could get through. But there's also CCTV at that gate, or at least at the other side of that gate. So if anybody had gone through there, they'd have been caught on CCTV. But I guess an abductor could have, I don't know, put on a cloak of invisibility and got over the fence. I don't know. It's quite possible. Quite possible that could have happened. All right. Okay. 9 o'clock. Person A reaches the gate where the bench is located. As they walk through the gate into the lower field, they can see Nicola's silhouette and Willow walking diagonally ahead of them, approaching the hedgerow to the upper field. So we didn't know these details, did we? We knew the approximate times, but we just didn't know how many people had actually seen Nicola. We thought it was a couple of dog walkers, but there's a lot of interaction going on. So people on allotment lane are seen coming and going. So that's one route that can't have been used by an abductor or else it'd have been seen. The river path is busy, people coming and going. Rowan Water's blocked off and there's no other way out. Unless you have a kayak and you're able to abduct somebody in a flaming kayak. All right then, okay. Or Walker over the top of the weir. That was a good one. I enjoyed that. Okay. "9:01, Nicola's phone logs into a Microsoft Teams call at work. There are 41 people logged into the call. 9:01 and 57 seconds, phone data analysis places Nicola around Rowan Water. 9:02 and 49 seconds, phone data analysis places Nicola around Rowan Water. 9:03 and 44 seconds, phone data analysis places Nicola around Rowan Water. Why was she there for 2 whole minutes? Why was she there for 2 minutes? Was she being abducted through the gate at Rowan Water? No, I don't think so. I think the reason why she was there is because it's absolutely stunningly beautiful when you get to this area just beyond Rowan Water. And there's pictures of Nicola photographing this area. So there's a picture that Nicola took on her Facebook just here, where the confluence is, looking over the field. Do I pan that way? Yes, I do. That's Nicola's picture that I got off her Facebook. Obviously, a media person at Lancashire Constabulary can't bother to go on Nicola's Facebook. But anyway, Nicola took that picture, and that's my picture. So I think Nicola liked it there. It's very beautiful. And that's the confluence. The River Wyre's here. That's the River Brock. That's where it gets an increase in water volume and like deepens out because of the influx of water there. So I think she spent a couple of minutes there just walking around, just looking, because it's beautiful. It's a really nice place at that place. Picking up dog poop. That's another possibility as well. Yeah. Okay. 9:05. Person A continues walking and next sees Nicola as person A is passing rainwater site. At this time, person A can see Nicola on the opposite side of the field near the river's raised embankment, so the opposite side to rainwater. Willow is off her lead and is running back and forth to Nicola. 9:10. Person A continues walking around the back. This person A is getting very suspicious to me. He's literally stalking Nicola all the way from the school, all the way around the walk. Oh, very dodgy. Very dodgy. Person A did it. All right. Person A continues walking around the path and sees that Nicola has now done a second loop of the top field. So Nicola is now behind person A. Nicola is just passing rainwater where the river starts to straighten. Person A hears Nicola barking and being called by Nicola. Person A then sees Nicola and Willow continue with their walk. This is the last time that person A sees Nicola. Person A then continues to walk diagonally across the field towards the separating hedgerow, so the hedgerow between the lower and upper field, and back across the field towards the gate where they first entered the field. Person A can no longer see Nicola or Willow due to the hedgerow. Still 9:10. Person E returns from the river path area on allotment lane. 9:15. Person A leaves the field and walks onto the river path towards allotment lane. 9:18. CCTV footage shows person A walking past person F's house, which is Penny's house probably, along allotment lane from the direction of the field. At this time, person A sees person F pottering around the shed. Oh, well, person F is preparing that shed to go and kidnap someone to put in the shed, preparing the shackles. Person A doesn't see anyone else. 9:20. Person A passes person H's house on allotment lane. Right. 9:20. Person A is seen on CCTV at the junction of allotment lane and Garstang Road. This walk has been timed and takes approximately 5 minutes to the area containing the gate and bench. Yes, it probably does. 9:23. CCTV footage shows person F leaving their home to take their dog for a walk around the river. Person F walks through the new gate at the end of allotment lane to the riverside and walks through the area that person F calls Hughes, maybe. As person F walks, the river is on the right. So that's the gate that is locked and you can't get through unless you have a padlock. So person F must have a lock to that gate because they live there. But they're preparing, you see, they're preparing to kidnap Nicola. Okay, 9:30. Nicola's Microsoft team call ends, but Nicola is still logged on into the meeting, and Nicola and 2 other people were still logged on into the meeting after it finished. 9:43 and 15:30. Someone stay logged on all day. What are you doing? Okay, 9:33. Person F arrives at the gate and sees a brown Springer dog. Willow running around with her tail wagging towards the gate and back towards the bench. Person F sees a dog harness on the slope, ties their own dog up and looks around. Nicola's mobile phone is on the bench with the screen lit up. Person F picks up the dog harness and uses twine in their coat to tie Willow to the bench. Okay, so this is at the time that they kidnap Nicola. Okay. 9:35. Person I leaves Rowan site for a dog walk via the rear gate into the upper field, confirmed by CCTV footage, because there's CCTV footage there at Rowan. As person I heads towards the field, they see person F with a dog near to the bench in the distance. As person I gets nearer, they recognise person F, so they're in it together. Person F sees person I approaching and says that they have tied the dog up. Person I turns round and continues to walk across the field and then heads back towards Rowan. Oh, person J, 9:35. Person J hears a female scream coming from the direction of allotment lane and the river area. Dun, dun, dun. So this is when Nicola's being kidnapped. 9:40. Person F unties their own dog and walks back home to allotment lane. Person F leaves Willow tied to the bench and leaves Nicola's mobile and dog harness at the bench. 9:40 to 9:45. Person K leaves their home on Rawcliffe Road and walks their dog around the village. Person K walks onto the river path from Gorstang Road. 9:47. CCTV footage confirms person F returning home. CCTV footage shows person I returning to Rowan through the gate, so neither of whom have Nicola with them. Person F calls my vets. I don't know why. 10:04. Person F calls a friend, person L, from their home number. Person F also calls person M. Person M informs person F that person K, person M's spouse, oh my God, is out walking their dog. Person F explains to person M about Willow and the mobile phone they found on the bench. On reaching the bench, person K sees Willow tied to the bench and a phone and harness on the bench. Person K thinks that something doesn't feel right and continues walking. Just continues walking. Oh, that's not right, but I'll just continue walking. All right, then. Okay. 10:12. Person K rings their spouse, person M, who says that they have spoken with person F, the person who's tied Willow up. 10:33. Person M and another individual, person N, head down to the river to meet person K. Oh my God. Person M picks up the phone and shows person K the screen. Person K recognizes the male as a dog walker. Person K, person M, and person N put Willow into the harness and they walk the dog back home. What? So they walk Willow all the way home? That can't be right. It's like 3 miles. Maybe they walk their dog back home. I don't know. Okay, 10:33. Phone data analysis locates the phone moving from the bench. 10:41. There's a missed call from Mr. Ansell to Nicola. 10:47. Person K, person M, and person N walk back onto allotment lane from the river. Person L comes out of their house and person K shows them the phone. Person L recognizes Willow and the phone as belonging to Nicola. 10:48. Mr. Ansell sends a text to Nicola. Have you got lost? 10:50, personnel calls the school to report finding Willow on the phone. 10:54, the school contacts Mr. Ansell. 10:56, Mr. Ansell leaves the home address in a hurry. Footage from doorbell. He calls the cops at 11:01, and then at 12:45 on the 19th. Okay, so that's the 19th. All right. So we can go back now to page 24. All right. Halfway through the alphabet, and then what? I don't know. It's a good job there weren't more people around that morning. It got very confusing. They'd have to start double up on letters. Like person AA, BB, CC. Will we be getting into the Greek alphabet like with hurricanes? I don't know. All right, so conclusions for this section. The early stages of the investigation were reviewed by the local, highly experienced detective inspector and an FMIT detective inspector, and were overseen by 2 separate experienced and qualified SIOs. All were in agreement that on the information known at the time The most likely hypothesis was that Nicola had fallen into the river. There was no suspected third-party involvement, although an open mind was being maintained. The approach taken was consistent and evidence-based and led to informed decision-making across the investigation, except for people on social media who just found mythical people. The SIO policy books contained good evidence of the strategic direction and command of the investigation, with clear decisions and rationale provided based on information known at the time. The documents detail the working hypothesis, the main lines of inquiry, the resourcing capabilities, and the strategies formulated to achieve the investigative progress. These were the subject of regular review. The SIO sought and implemented several independent reviews throughout their investigation, demonstrating a proactive appetite for learning and seeking improvements. The recommendations provided were followed, and if not, a sound rationale was provided. This approach is commendable. The SIO's working hypothesis ultimately proved correct, and Nicola was found in accordance with early set understanding. Okay. All right. Anybody still think that she was murdered? I don't even dare to ask. All right, so National Crime Agency peer review. Lancashire Constabulary undertook 4 peer reviews, so reviews by their peers, by independent peers, on various aspects of the investigation. This is commendable and demonstrates an appetite for learning and for maximising advice from internal and external peers. In addition to ensuring early operational grip, the new SIO contacted the NCA on the 2nd of February to secure a peer review. The NCA provided specialist capabilities for law enforcement, providing guidance and support to investigators from independent and nationally accredited advisors. At the review, there were representations from the National SIO Advisor, the National Search Advisor, the National Family Liaison Advisor, a forensic clinical psychologist, the National Missing Persons Advisor, Missing Persons Unit, and a crime investigation officer. But the people on TikTok know better than all of those people. Okay, all right. Observations by the National SIO Advisor were that the current investigation priorities were correct and supported by a tight sequencing of Nicola's movements. The briefing from the SIO and head of major crime demonstrated their open mind and curious investigative mindset. The National SIO Advisor reminded the investigation team of the importance of remaining open-minded as more information and evidence was gathered, and agreed with the working hypothesis that Nicola had entered the river, which was the only hypothesis supported by all the facts, unless you're on TikTok or you're a numpty on YouTube who knows better. Okay. The National SIO Advisor documented at the time that it was clear that the investigation was well-resourced and led by appropriate governance structures. The National Missing Persons Advisor added that the level of investigation and search for this case far exceeds that which I normally see in cases with similar circumstances. From what I have seen, this investigation has been very thorough and by way of proportionality exceeds normal expectations, except if you're on TikTok or a numpty on YouTube who thinks they know better. The peer review guidance document, which summarises the peer review, provides very limited commentary or communications, media support and guidance for Lancashire Constabulary. Within the media strategy, consideration should be given to the use of personal briefings to the family and the wider media cohort to assist the SIO in controlling the messages in line with direction from the goal commander. These should be used in parallel to a wider media strategy to ensure they complement each other. There is no guidance in the peer review in relation to social media management, and that is the big problem of this entire case. That's the problem. There's the problem. There's no problem with the search. There's no problem with the hypothesis and the way that they tested those hypotheses. The problem is with the media approach. That's what I'm learning from this document so far. Okay, information management. The initial command and control of this incident was conducted on Smart Storm, which is a software used by emergency services to receive and record calls. Oh, I've never heard of Smart Storm before. You don't think it was an accident yourself? What was it then? What was it? If it wasn't an accident, what was it? What was it? Patricia, do you know better than all of these people here? What was it in your opinion? Okay. Allocate resources and manage demand. The management of the investigation was then moved to another software system called Connect, used by Lancashire Constabulary and a number of other forces in the UK. Those managing the investigation within Lancashire Constabulary's investigation team described some frustrations using Connect due to the software version. Oh, computer says no. Computer says no. Okay. For example, the system only allows for one person to update at a time, meaning that there's a delay in uploading information onto the system. Supervisors' updates are also limited by a word count. Oh no, damn word counts. Boom, boom, boom. While documents were attached to the system for reading and assessment, they were not sequenced in terms of date and time created. Okay. Lancashire Constabulary adopted Connect in 2016. A member of the Constabulary's original Connect implementation team provided the view that Connect, when originally designed, was not intended to be used for missing persons investigations. This has been confirmed by the head of IT for Lancashire Constabulary. They're not good with IT. They're not good with IT. Initially, the investigation team devised bespoke systems and spreadsheets to manage the volume of material and to allow for clear task and result updates. To manage the review of increasing volumes of public information, consideration was given to transferring the investigation onto the Home Office Large Major Inquiry System, HOMES 2, for process and information management. HOMES 2, oh, I like the way they've done that. Police also have, I mean, they used to, I don't know whether they still have, but they used to have a software system called Sherlock. All right. HOMES 2 was introduced as a software system for forces to support the management and retention of information in large and complex major investigations. This system enables timely actions to be taken and reduces the risk of information being lost or misinterpreted. What you on about guidance? Who knew one another? Oh, I can see you're. Are you the St. Michael's on Wire? The whole village was involved. Are you that crew? Yeah. All right. Okay. Cool. I believe it. Go back under your rock or something. All right. However, it was recognised that some staff involved in the investigation were not trained to use HOMES 2 and will be unable to access or use the system. Placing a full HOMES 2 capability and resourcing into a missing from home inquiry would be highly unusual. However, the amount of information generated through the investigation required either HOMES 2 or an information management tool with an equivalent capability. Instead, the SIO reverted to using the HOMES 2 Lite functionality, which allowed the storage of information with action management, but without the other HOMES 2 functions of indexing, reading, and linking. Sounds like a nightmare. Oh, go away, guidance. I can't be arsed with you. Hold on. All right, Penny Neuron. Of course she did. So what? All right, you're in timeout for 5 minutes. 1 minute for every year of your life. So you sound like you're about 5. So, all right. So in 5 minutes, you can come back. You get one opportunity to behave yourself. If not, you go to bed without any supper. All right. And you lose your Xbox privileges for the next week. Am I clear? Thank you. Okay. All right. The process was used between 5th of February and 12th of February until a full HOMES 2 structure with suitably trained staff resource from FMIT could be secured and implemented. The review team engaged with the product owner for investigation management and the head of product for... this is a bit boring, this one. Okay, so current version of software, blah, blah, blah. All right. So they confirmed that a missing from home module had also been developed following consultation with the subject manager, blah, blah, blah. Planning to release the new software in February 2024. Well, a bit useless to say that now. All right. Okay, so there were some challenges with IT. Okay, all right. Well, that's for them to deal with in 2024. Yeah, too technical. Can't be bothered. All right, search response. All right, a police sergeant with extensive experience as a search lead and licensed search officer was initially deployed to lead and coordinate the search effort. This officer has comprehensive search qualifications as well as the additional experience and qualification as a force missing person search manager. The role incorporated a responsibility to provide strategic planning, tactical decision making, and operational delivery with a dynamic missing persons investigation. Okay. Yeah, 5-year-olds should go outside and play on their own, preferably on a busy road. Did I even say that? Oh, controversial. I didn't mean that, obviously. Watch your 5-year-olds very closely. They do stupid things, as we'll see if guidance comes back. I can just feel that guidance is going to be annoying. It's going to lose their Xbox privileges and also their computer privileges. Take the computer privileges away as well. All right. All searches conducted were based on the working hypothesis that Nicola was ill or injured and likely as a result to have entered the river. Efforts were also made to ensure that if she had managed to climb out of the water, she would be located on the bank side. So there was the possibility that she was still alive somewhere but injured. Therefore, searches incorporated the land areas to the sides of the river. As these land searches proved negative, this supported that she was most likely within the watercourse and, due to the river conditions, deceased and subsurface. So, underneath the water, on the bank, on the bed. It could not be excluded that Nicola was on the water surface or caught above the water level as each tide ebbed, and so footboat, helicopter and drone searches were also undertaken. They're going to create a new account. Yeah, they might do. Okay, they can do that. But they're going to lose the computer privileges, so don't matter, does it? Don't matter, does it? The National Operational Guidance is the Fire and Rescue Services equivalent of the College of Policing. While the police are responsible for inland search and rescue operations, water rescue is the responsibility, not statutory, of the fire and rescue service. And is governed by the National Operational Guidance. This guidance contains the research figure for when a search and rescue operation from water becomes a search and recovery operation. This is determined to be 90 minutes for a child and 60 minutes for an adult. Wow. I didn't know that. So it's only considered search and rescue for an hour. And then it's search and recovery. By the time that Mr. Ansell contacted the emergency services about Nicola, the window for a realistic water rescue operation had passed. This was, from the outset, more likely to have been a recovery operation, although the exact time of Nicola's disappearance was not precisely known. On the 27th of January, the initial searches of the riverbank and open areas of land were extended to 500 metres from the riverbank, supported by duplicate searches by National Police Air Service from 12/18. So this is a map of the River Wyre from the scene to Morecambe Bay. That's not a very good map. That's a rubbish map. Okay. So there's scene and environs. Well, what? So these are all the little creeks and stuff. Okay. All right, so Weir to Cartford Bridge. Cartford Bridge to Shard Bridge. And then Shard Bridge to the estuary mouth. And then that's Morecambe Bay. So Peter searched, or at least he says he did, all the way to Cartmel Bridge, or Cartford Bridge. That's what Peter said he searched, and still missed her. Okay, all right. So, supported by Lancashire Rescue Fire Service, I think that is, a drone was deployed using RGB, red, green, blue camera and thermal imaging upstream of the scene for 500 meters and downstream for 1 kilometer. So what's a kilometer? About 3/4 of a mile. So remember, this is 27th of January. So we're going back to the day of the search now. A land-based victim recovery dog was deployed. So a search dog was deployed into fields north of the river, concentrating on hedgerows and tree line. The fields around the bench were searched, as were both sides of the river, including adjacent woods. The river in front of the bench was searched by divers, and a wade search was conducted to the weir. It was noted by the, I can't remember what that is, Northwest, something to do with marine stuff, that the flow of the river was strong enough to move a body out of the area and over the weir. What do you mean they didn't go far enough, Mike? Well, she wouldn't have got a mile downstream in the first few hours. So where she was eventually found, she wouldn't have got there at the time of the initial searches. Just by the way that bodies move in water. Okay, it's recorded that searches continued through 28th and 29th of January. On the 29th of January, there was no immediate dive task to be completed with water searches, and water searches were surface-based rather than sonar. Water-based searches were conducted using the Lancashire Fire Rescue, Coast Guard and Royal National Lifeboat Institution. On the 30th of January, the same area of river in front of the bench was searched by divers again up to the weir. Searches continued on the 31st of January. So by the 30th of January, I think they were very clear that she wasn't between the bench and the weir. And I estimated that she could have got from the bench to the weir. Can't remember what my estimation was. I think it was about 15 minutes. Oh, is guidance back? Oh, guidance. You're going to behave. You behave, guidance. You're going to behave. All right. Because you've had your warning and you're 5 minutes on the naughty step. So misbehave again and you are banned. You're banned from using the computer and your Xbox, and you're going straight to bed. Okay. So I think I said 15 minutes, just based on a slow flowing river, because it's only like, I don't know, about 400 yards or so, approximately to the weir. So given that a body given what she was wearing, and that would have enabled some buoyancy, it's very possible that she could have got to the weir before people were even looking for her. But to get all the way out to where she was found, I don't think she did. I think she was caught under water for a while. So yeah. That's my opinion. I mean, I might be wrong. Okay, on the 30th of January, the same area, river in front of the bench was searched. Divers again up to the weir. Searches continued on the 31st of January, 1st of February, and 2nd of February, with the river in front of the bench again searched by divers. Because you've got to remember that it's deep there, so they're obviously going to want to go over that area several times. Searches also continued on the 3rd of February. On the 7th of February, a dive company named Specialist Group International, SGI, oh no, joined the search capability using their sonar scan equipment. Searches continued on the 8th and 9th of January by licensed search officers supported by SGI, although they were very bad, okay, as we saw last night. Similarly, licensed search officers, so the marine people, and Lancashire Fire Rescue Service conducted extensive daily searches between the River Wear and Cartford Bridge to Shard Bridge and out to sea, including Morecambe Bay. So they missed her. They missed her. I think she was in that tree, that overhanging tree. I think if you got stuck underwater there's that tree I showed you last night, just past the bridge. It'd be so easy to miss somebody once you're under all of that, all of those branches. Like sonar would definitely not pick you up. People walking the bank would not pick you up. You're no longer going to be picked up on thermal imagery. And she was wearing black. I know there was a lot of activity around Shard Bridge. That's where the river's really wide, and it's getting towards the estuary at Shard Bridge. The search teams were supported by the availability of a large amount of data in the form of GPS logs and camera angles from aerial capability. Oh, guidance. What are you up to? Oh, you're not up to anything. You're not up to anything. Guidance, carry on. You're not up to anything. You've had your warning. Okay. The search terms were also supported by the National Counter-Terrorism Security Office. What? Why? To combine all search data together onto one set of mapping. This support was unprecedented for a missing from home investigation. God, the amount of agencies that they called in. It just shows how difficult it is to find somebody in water. I always say that. It takes often months to find someone in water. So difficult. Completely different kind of environment and environmental challenges than on land. The search lead for 8th of February onwards stated that the technical aspects of this search was no different, but the scale of the press interest and the resources available were much more than we've ever seen. This was unprecedented for us. Despite extensive scrutiny, the search team remained consistent with their hypothesis. Guided by experts, the team secured the recovery of Nicola within their search area, consistent with their plans. This reinforced that their approach to the searching techniques was correct. Yeah, they didn't find her though, did they? They didn't find her. Yes, they recovered her, but only when she'd been spotted by a member of the public. I think because, it's just my opinion, I think because of the storm that we had in the previous days. I think that untangled her, like the wind and the increased water untangled her from wherever she was, and she was floating. And then she possibly got kind of maybe trapped again, like near that tree. I don't know. Maybe they'll give us some ideas in this. I don't know. Yeah, it's often the case that if they go into a river, when it's so difficult. It can take months. And even then, there's so many people who go into waterways who were never recovered. Okay, the search lead provided regular updates to Nicola's family and used information from experts, the Coast Guard, tidal data, and Environment Agency flow data to support the theory that Nicola was most likely to have entered the river. The searches continued daily until Nicola was recovered on the 19th of February. So, conclusions for this: from the time of reporting to the discovery of Nicola's body, it's evidence that those leading the search activity had the relevant and appropriate experience and accreditation. The policing response to recovering Nicola was conducted to a high standard and with comprehensive and skilled resourcing. The search was later found to be accurate, with the recovery of Nicola's body found within the defined area, proving the search and investigative hypothesis to be correct. Unless you're on TikTok or whatever, and then you still think it was murder. Okay. Searching water and body recovery. To support the search lead and associated search terms, early contact was made with the National Crime Agency and the National Search Advisor, with scene attendants to review the activity. It's the expert view of the National Search Advisor that water-based searches present greater challenges than most land-based operations. Absolutely. The hazardous nature of water and the challenges presented to visibility with cloudy conditions, weeds, and reed beds. There's no reed beds in the River Wyre between where she was found and the bench. Can we just be clear? We're not going to revert to Peter Falding terms of she was in the reeds. She wasn't in the reeds. There's no reeds. No reeds. Some overhanging grasses. They're not reeds, though. Okay. Further complicated by the propensity for a body to move within a waterway. Bodies will sink, float, or assume a neutrally buoyant position, dependent on body weight, clothing, and footwear variables. The effects of water currents, wind currents, and tidal conditions have the potential to move and reintroduce a body back to exactly the same area of water, even after the search there has been completed. See, this is the problem with water, especially where a river is tidal, because the body's moving, and it's not just moving backwards and forwards, it's moving also like in a vertical plane as well. It can move up and down. So on land, if you've cleared an area of land, it's cleared. The body is not going to walk itself to an area of land that you've cleared. I mean, yes, I guess an offender could come and move a body, of course. But a land search, when there's no crime involved and this is a missing person, once you've cleared an area of land, it's cleared. Whereas water, you've got this three-dimensional medium that humans just don't work well in. And this, he's moving backwards and forwards, up and down. And you can't ever clear one area. You don't know. If you think you've cleared one area, well, the body might have moved overnight. And you think you've cleared that area, and actually, very difficult. Very difficult. These variables, conditions, and factors together with subsurface items such as mud or silt, lots of mud in Lancashire rivers, lots of them, frequently frustrate search techniques. Body recovery is therefore exceptionally challenging. The likely result, even with the most highly trained and skilled search resources and equipment, can lead to significant delays in finding a missing person in water. I'm astonished that she was found in 23 days, given the nature of that river. And obviously, she was only found because there were so many eyes on that river. That's the only reason why she was found that quickly. This is in contrast to land-based searches. The search lead later described the water as having been really dark and believed that Nicola had already been taken over the weir on arrival by the emergency service first responders on the first day. Thank you. Boom. Thank you. Yes, that's what happened. She was gone. She'd gone past the weir into the tidal part of the river before the first responders even got there. I would say probably before even Paul turned up. So many persons lost to water are never located. They've been watching my videos. They've been using my words. Many persons lost to water are never located, especially if subject to tidal conditions or the sea. While such a situation has a significant impact on family trauma, the recovery of a body from water is far more likely to be through the body's own flotation to the surface than through search. In this case, and to support the search lead to focus search activity and resources, further assistance was sought from experts to refine the search strategy. The following experts were secured early in the search and utilised: an expert in body behaviour in water from the University of Dundee, an oceanographer from the Centre of Environment, Fisheries and Aquaculture Science, an expert from the Association of Lowland Search and Rescue. But the people on TikTok obviously know better. Oh, guidance, what are you doing? Oh, guidance, I can't be arsed. I can't be bothered. I honestly can't be bothered, guidance. Just go away. Just go away, guidance. I can't be doing with you. You're blocked. You lost your privileges, guidance. I don't even know what you were really doing, but I may decide to unblock you at some point in the future if I remember. I just can't be bothered. I'm too busy. It's essential for a search strategy to consider the available research and use experts. This can determine a point when a search will be suspended if the subject has not been located. Anecdote and experience indicate that most, but not all, victims of drowning are found on or very close to the bottom of a watercourse within a 100-metre radius of the location of entry. Not a metre, like Peter Folding said. However, all variables for a body's movement remained under consideration because this is a river. You got to understand how rivers work. If you're in a lake, very different. Right? You're not going to move that far. Whereas in a river, especially with tidal forces, you've got a big problem. The experts provided daily advice to the search team, giving estimated indications for the potential flotation data for Nicola's body to rise into the surface. These estimations were calculated using data sourced from the tides, water, and weather, combined with the individual characteristics and clothing information. Based on the data available, the expert from the University of Dundee estimated a likely flotation date between the 6th and the 12th of February, with the latest being the 13th of March. The expert from the Association of Lowland Search and Rescue advised that the earliest flotation date would be the 14th of February, with the most likely date being the 20th of February. So they were spot on. They were spot on, the expert from the Association of Lowland Search and Rescue. And the latest being the 5th of March. The information from these experts was regularly updated on the daily goal group meetings for the investigation. Additionally, the information was passed to the family liaison coordinator and family liaison officers to update Nicola's family. The information provided a sound basis for decision making and deployment of search resources. But the family weren't supported, or at least the family, the support, let's put it this way, the support efforts to the family were thwarted by the likes of Peter, who were telling them that she's not in the river. From the tidal information and prediction by experts, it was anticipated that the weekend of the 18th to 19th of February might become significant in the search to find Nicola. No way. No way. Resources and tactics were planned for a large-scale search on the afternoon of the 19th of February as the tide ebbed. Sunday, 19th of February, was also the first high tide since Nicola's disappearance, with 20 cubic meters of water per second moving over the weir. Yeah, because there was a storm. There there was an increased water, and if she was in kind of the size in like a broken tree or something, there was wind. This predicted tidal movement would likely contribute to a floating body on the surface moving with the tide. The challenges of searching in water prevented Nicola from being rapidly located and recovered. When Nicola was finally recovered, she had been caught by underwater branches of a tree while being transported back out by the recorded ebbing tide. So she'd gone, and then she was coming back. Oh, wow. There was no reeds in that section of the river, as was later suggested on social media. Yeah. In support of the police effort to recover Nicola, so I wonder how far she'd gone. I wonder how far out she'd gone. Caught by underwater branches while being transported back out by the recorded ebbing tide. So she'd gone further towards the sea, was coming back. Wow. See, we didn't know any of this, did we? Didn't know any of this. In support of the police effort to recover Nicola's body, the search team worked to a forensic recovery strategy. To provide the necessary protection to the area from the public, officers were deployed to the scene to prevent any public intrusion into the area. Despite this deployment, a member of the public was able to breach the restricted area, ignoring the direction of the police present. This action resulted in an extreme invasion of privacy in what was the most sensitive aspect of the investigation, and resulted in the arrest of the individual involved. So that was that numpty, wasn't it? Okay. That loads of people were supporting. All right. Okay. Wonder how much he earned from his little excursions. Conclusions of this section. How much more is there to read? Got loads. I'm going to read up to inquest, and then we're going to stop. So I might have to do a part 6. I didn't realise this chapter was so long. All right. Search response views. 2 reviews were conducted of the search response and activities in the case during the early stages. There was a search independent peer review on the 2nd of February and a review by the National Search Advisor on the 6th of February. Peer review found that, in my opinion, the river has been searched extensively from the place last seen through the mouth of the river at the point of the estuary where it meets the sea. There has been conducted by multiple agencies, including Coast Guard, Inshore Lifeboat, Lancashire Fire and Rescue, and the Underwater Search and Rescue Unit. The review also found that data sets have been used correctly. The National Search Advisor had contact with the search lead on the 2nd of February to offer support and advice. The National Search Advisor suggested that, given the time of year and the water temperature, it was a realistic scenario that someone entering the water by accident or intent could succumb to cold water shock. That would result in an involuntary gasp for breath, drowning, and rapid subsurface movement. The National Search Advisor attended a review meeting on the 6th of February where additional advice was provided in relation to search, with further scene attendance on the 7th. Search resourcing. Okay, so limited resources capability with only 9 staff on the rota for the searchers who had the necessary training and qualifications. The nature and level of demand on Lancashire Constabulary is such that it's therefore impossible to provide 24/7 capability for searching every day of the year. This can cause resourcing challenges and implications, as well as the dependency on mutual aid assistance, so other resources, along with goodwill from staff. Despite these challenges, when reviewing the search strategy, the National Search Advisor later provided the view that the strategy was correct with effective parameters. Their view was that the competent and suitable resources had been deployed in the most appropriate manner. It was also the view that the National Search Advisor at Lancashire Constabulary applied a greater number of search resources for a longer period than usual in cases of this hypothesis. Very few missing person cases have such a strong foundation that the subject has entered the water. From the perspective of the NPCC lead for underwater search, this was comprehensive engagement, not commonly seen and not easily repeated in similar circumstances. Well, there were so many eyes on the case, they didn't really have any choice, did they? They had to just keep going. They just had to keep going. While the search resourcing was generally comprehensive and appropriate, the National Search Advisor found one area of deficiency that may have contributed to the challenges experienced. There was only one search lead deployed in the search cell who had responsibility for coordinating, advising, searching, logistics, gold, senior command updates, and general administration. So they were working like a dog. The College of Policing's Missing Person and Crime Search Course Manual includes guidance on the format of a search cell for protracted or complex searches. The guidance is that a search cell should be implemented with a police search coordinator role with assistance from 4 police searchers working. It's recognised by the National Search Advisor that such a cell structure rarely exists, even in the largest, most well-resourced operations. It is to the credit of the search lead of this case that such effective search management was implemented, considering the limitations on their capacity and support. I bet they needed a good sleep after all that was over. It was also recognised that, as experienced in this case, the task of managing the entirety of such a search makes this an extremely challenging and pressurised role. At the conclusion of the investigation, a debrief was held of the search resources. Issues were highlighted around refreshments, non-technical equipment, clothing, and goodwill. These issues appear to be replicated nationally and have been the subject of a report titled Understanding Police Search and Analysis of Their Morale and Welfare. So that was in 2022, commissioned by the Police Search Governance Board to address national challenges in terms of resilience, welfare, and improvements. The need for this review is supported by findings from this investigation. Consideration will also be given to reviewing the Missing Person and Crime Search Course Manual in order to reflect achievable levels of support. Yeah, well, working under pressurized conditions because of money. Okay, dive resourcing. So the Northwest, I can't remember the acronym, but it's the Northwest Marine people, is the only underwater search resource used by Lancashire Constabulary through a regional initiative. The National Search Advisor's view is that this dive team was one of the most well-equipped, competent and experienced and highly regarded full-time police underwater search teams in the UK. But yeah, Peter Faulding thought he knew better. Okay. This team was deployed immediately to the investigation on the 27th of January. There is currently no on-call facility for dive teams. Wow. Any requests for resourcing are therefore in addition to officers' ordinary roles and are conducted on a goodwill basis. While some of the teams volunteered to attend and dive on the 28th, there was none available on the 29th. So that would have been the Sunday. A decision was made to conduct water surface-based searches using other search resources. While there is not a national on-call capability for dive resources, mutual aid requests and resourcing support can be made via them, whoever they are. In this case, a mutual aid request was conducted and the service of the South Wales dive team was used. So a dive team came up from South Wales. That's a fair way. Contact was made with the MPCC lead for the strategic underwater search and the principal dive contractor of the search lead to assess the deployment of divers that had taken place since the 27th. It was also intended to establish whether further resourcing, support or equipment was required. From this, it was confirmed that further support was not required and that the team had appropriate sonar equipment, except if you're Peter Faulding, you know, because he's got the best. He's got the best of the best. A commercial dive company called SGI, represented by Peter Faulding, was contacted by Nicola's family to provide additional support to the search effort with the deployment of their sonar equipment. To ensure maximum capability of the police dive team, the MPCC lead for strategic underwater search secured additional support from the Defence Science and Technology Laboratory. Yet Peter knows better. And their sonar search equipment. This provided a policing response, resourced and equipped at the highest level, and was deployed on the 8th of February to the scene after Peter had left with his tail between his legs because he believed that he found her in 6 minutes when actually what he found was tree branches. Okay. To improve the chances of locating Nicola, the Defence Science and Technology Laboratory's subsurface search equipment provided higher resolution equipment in the area where lower resolution equipment had previously been used, you know, like Peter's. Despite this equipment, the challenges and unpredictable behaviour of the variables meant that Nicola might already have reached the sea or been caught undetectable in an inaccessible location. I don't think she went out to the sea. I really don't. I don't think she'd have come back if she got out to the sea. But it was the possibility, the light, you know, there was a chance she would have. Significantly, sonar is unable to penetrate significant weed, reed, or plant growth. It can't, there's no reeds. There's no reeds, all right. But there are lots of overhanging trees. Therefore, cannot identify items concealed behind it. So, yeah, I think that's what happened. So, conclusions of this section, and then we're going to call it a day for today. The resourcing and execution of the search strategy was extensive, comprehensive, and commendable. It's recognised that Lancashire Constabulary search people are highly motivated, professional, and attentive in their role requirements. The search capability and resourcing of this case could not rely on an on-call capability. It's recognised that it's a national challenge for searching. Instead, goodwill was demonstrated by staff to fill these resourcing gaps. Lancashire Constabulary did not provide sufficient search resilience to manage the resourcing search cell functions effectively. Greater use of mutual aid could have been made, specifically across the weekend, 28th, 29th, when resourcing was particularly limited. Yeah, and that is the case nationally, unfortunately. Okay, so I've got the inquest to do. And then, oh, it's such a long chapter. Why did they not split it up? What's chapter 2? God, that's so long. Chapter 2, leadership. Oh, we get into the criticisms. Get into the criticisms with the leadership and stuff. All right, going to call it a day there. We'll call it a day there. The invisible reads, yeah. That's funny. That's funny. That's funny. Toxicology. Yeah, the toxicology results were reported at the inquest. Yeah. I did. How many videos did I do on the inquest? I did 4 videos on the inquest, I think. So there. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Because it was over 2 days. So I did morning session, afternoon session, morning session, afternoon session. So go and watch those videos. So cause of death was revealed right at the beginning. So, yeah. Toxicology generally takes about, well, between 4 and 6 weeks. But yeah, I've got loads of videos on the Nicola Bulley case. I mean, so many. I'm now up to... Why am I still up to 83 videos? I was on 83 videos the other day. So I've done part 3 of this now. All right. So I think I did say in my video this morning that I was going to do 5 parts. But I think given just how long it takes to get through, it's going to be 6 parts. So next time I'll do the inquest, finish chapter 1, and then start chapter 2. But remember, we've done chapter 5. there's 5 chapters. So we've done chapter 5 already. I did chapter 5 last night. So if you want to know about Peter Folding and the truth behind what actually happened with Peter Folding, go and watch last night's live stream. So part 2. All right, guys, I'm going to go. So I won't be live tomorrow, though. So part 4 will be on Saturday. I won't be live tomorrow because I'm busy tomorrow. Very busy tomorrow. And I'm not going to be home until later. So I'll be too tired to do a live stream. I'll be too tired to do reading tomorrow night. So I'll be back on Saturday with part 4, Sunday with part 5, and then Monday with part 6. And we're getting towards, we've only got another week to go before Cold Case Christmas starts on this channel. Do you want me to give you a quick reminder of the Cold Case Christmas episodes that I'm going to do? Okay, so the first 12 were chosen by me. And then the second 12 were chosen by members of Michelle After Dark. So, okay, so this is in the order that they're going to be presented. So Shane Fox, Susie Lamplugh, Evansdale Murders, John and Joyce Sheridan, Molly Bish, the Tynong North Murders, Neil Skinner, Calgary Serial Killer, the Shakur Family Murders, Daniel Hives, it's another water one, as is probably Neil Skinner, actually, Rodrigo Falcon, Dylan Ealer, another water one, Shane Newhouse, Timothy McCall, Fame Cooper, Betty Alexander, the Stevenson Murders, Randy Leach, Timothy Pitson, the Keddy Murders, Ashley Dighton, Lindsay Baum, Kevin Dundon, and Kyle Fleechman. And there'll also be a bonus edition this year. So that will be on the 26th. And that will be the Milk Carton Kids. So I've got to start recording some of these. So this channel is going to be really busy in December. So there we go. All right, guys. All right, I'm going to go. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you. Don't know if I had any mods in, but I always thank the mods. Don't think I had any donations, but if I did and I missed it, I'm so sorry. But anyway, enjoy the rest of your day. Happy Thanksgiving to those who celebrate it. And I'll see you. There will be a video tomorrow on Michelle After Dark, just not a live stream. All right. Bye, guys.